What's going on, guys? Kaiger here. Yesterday I did a video about PvP and PvE tier list for classes in Neverland. Today I'm going to do the same thing but with fairies. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so right in front of us is the PvP tier list for fairies October 2024. I'm going to run through this kind of quickly and then we'll make our way to the PvE one. If you want to just see the picture, obviously just take a picture if you would like to, or go to my Discord in the resources channel. So starting at the top, we have Milim, Sakura, and Mistletoe. This is set up holy, fire, wind, water, and earth. So the top holy for PvP are these three right here. The first two are kind of the same. Milim and Sakura are really close. Sakura locks them in place when you press Milim locks them in place when you press the button, where Sakura takes a second but also reduces their defense. Mistletoe is more of an AoE style situation. You put down her big barrier, even if they try to dash through it, it ignores the invulnerability from the dash and stuns them. Then for fire, we have Hydra Flames and Winter Cherry. Hydra Flames, very quick ability, tons of damage, also turns off dodge. Very strong for fire. Winter Cherry isn't so much about her ability, but for her passive in PvP, which is effectively a free rigidity, which is very powerful, especially for damage dealers to stay alive. Our 3 wind, the big change from last time was Eldawise went from A to S. And what's going on here is Tranquil Balloon Flower, her main thing is reducing the cooldown of your ability when you swap to that class. So this allows you to do very powerful things. With Cannon, it lets you do double grenade. With sword, it lets you do double moon slash. A lot of very interesting play styles it allows you to use. As for the next two, Almond Blossom and Eldawise, their actives are obviously very strong, but the biggest thing are their passives. Almond Blossom giving you CC immunity the first time one's used against you, and Eldawise giving you crit immunity, which is very strong. Obviously, these are very powerful defensive fairies, and their active skills are also very offensive. Almond Blossom doing all of her abilities, and Eldawise also turning off buffs on your enemy, which can be a huge thing. With water, we have Blue Rose and Gardenia. Blue Rose always being a bonus. If you have more HP than your opponent, you do more damage. If you have less HP, you take less damage. She's just a really powerful passive to always have on you, and obviously her active obviously does good things. Gardenia also gives you a gladiator type passive. When you swap to her, you get an attack boost based on your HP. She also gives you extra HP, which is really powerful, especially against holy users, because you have to be under 60% for holy to use its passive. But if you never get under 60% because you have so much HP and a lot of defensives, then they never get a chance to use their ability. Earth. Tulip and Foxglove. Foxglove giving you that crit even in game modes where you can't use fairies. Tulip giving you a damage boost when you're in those game modes, as well as obviously the gamble aspect is very, very powerful. Moving down to A tier for Holy, we have one of the cutest couples in the game, Butterfly Orchid and Hibiscus. 1A, 1B for A tier. And then Laurel. So what happens here is Hibiscus heals you and does damage around you based on what you heal. The downside is she can't heal you if you're at full HP. That's where Butterfly Orchid comes in, which consumes some of your HP to turn it into a barrier, which is still healing you because the amount it gives you a shield is more than the HP it takes away, which also allows Hibiscus to heal you more because now you're missing HP and do more damage to the surrounding. It also combos really well because Butterfly Orchid makes it so they can't move, which also sets up Hibiscus because it does damage where you clicked it as well as damage around you. So you can have 3 waves of damage on top of each other at the same time. Then we have Laurel right here, semi-good tracking on the ability and a good AoE. It's just very noticeable when it's happening, so you usually have to combo him with something else. Earth, we have Anathria and Dahlia. So Anathria, good finisher if they're under 40%, 80% more damage, as well as giving them anti-healing, which is very powerful for a lot of classes right now. Dahlia gives them healing and then makes them hurt themselves. Very, very powerful. It can be played around, but if you are playing around things like Star Blessing, then you can make good use of her. Our one water Ikoria gives you that anti-death. You cannot the first time you would die, you don't die. Very, very powerful. Then Primrose, it's a stun and damage reduction. Very, very good. B tier, our only holy in the B tier is Licorice. Tons of damage. Good stun duration. You just normally have to pair it with something to make sure it hits. A lot of people can easily dodge this one. Fire, Rose and Diablo 1A, 1B. Rose is more AoE, Diablo is more single target. Wind, we have Camellia and Bloomflower. They're a pretty decent combo together, but also, so Camellia does an AoE knockup, and Bloomflower does a pull in and defense down. So if you set up the knockup, you can also do Bloomflower to pull them into the knockup. Very, very strong combo, but you're kind of required to make the combo together to make it work. Lavender, his main thing is in group PvP. If you are a supportive or defensive type character and you want to lock down one person, Lavender, walk away. They're asleep, oh well. Daisy, she does really good in group PvP. You hit her ability on a group and then you target one person. If they go after someone else, they take that slime reflect damage, which is also ignores defense because it's a burn type ability. Down here at C tier, we have Gypsophilia and Rimuru. They do okay in PvP, but they require specific things to do what they need to do. Fire, we have Exoria. Her main thing is she does give you a bunch of damage, but she also she can't kill you because it's percent current HP, but if you use it too early, it could end up killing you by them killing you. Hyacinth, cooldown reduction is very powerful for wind, but he's kind of meaningless now that we have Tranquil Bloomflower. Then we have Water, Lotus, and Hydra. They are very similar. Hydra gives you a defense up and a very short-term silence. It doesn't even say silence in the ability, but they can't use abilities during that time. Lotus is a faster ability, but also a stun. Then we have Earth Carnation, which does AoE on the ground. Very, very powerful. Her main thing is you need the full echo, so you can also have the erode, which does more damage for each of her ticks, as well as gives you a movement speed. Earth is just in a very weird spot, with it being the lowest echo level. Down here in D tier, we have Twin Lotus, their main thing being PvE damage. PvP obviously bad. Same thing with Chestnut Rose. Then Wind, we have Dandelion. Very similar reasons to Gypsophilia. You target a location, but in most PvP game modes, you're not really at a location. People are moving around, dodging, and stuff like that. Water, we have Viola and Candok. Viola is just very, very slow. She still has a good ability. It's just very slow to stack up. She really wants to sit there and be auto-attacking and to set up charges, but the game is just faster than that right now. Then we have Candok, AoE healing, but the amount healing is very, very low. Then we have Marigold, slow and increased damage to Earth weakness, which is PvE. Then we go down to PvE, which a lot of these, some stayed the same, but a lot of them jumped around. So in S tier, we have Twin Lotus and Gypsophilia. They are primarily PvE fairies, so obviously they're going to be very high up when we talk about PvE. Then Fire, we have Winter Cherry and Chestnut Rose. Winter Cherry gives PvE a fire weakness, and Chestnut Rose increases their fire weakness. Wind, we have Tranquil Bloom Flower. Like I said, with the swapping, it'll increase your DPS very, very high. Water, Blue Rose increases damage to if you're at high HP, as well as her active. If the enemy is at super high HP, it does more damage. And in a lot of PvE, they're at high HP at least for a long time. And something like Water Elemental Realm, it doesn't lose HP, so you're always doing bonus damage. Very similar reason right here with Gardenia. She has the swap buff for Gladiator, and just does good things when you use the ability. Tulip and Foxglove. Foxglove giving you that crit and doing okay damage. Tulip giving you that damage increase, as well as the gambling effect. Down here in A tier, for Holy, we have Millum and Laurel. Millum increases damage from other fairies to the enemy, which makes her a really good combo for things like Laurel or Twin Lotus or Gypsophilia. And then Laurel just does good AoE high damage. Good enough, at least in the Holy for PvE. Then we have Hydra of Flames, just does really high damage. That's her main thing when we talk about PvE, just the really high damage. Hydra of, Exoria, no, sorry, Anathria, has that execute damage, especially with things like Guild Boss, which has a high HP pool, but once it's under 40%, you'll probably get 2, maybe 3 casts of her, which will just do a spike of damage. Hyacinth giving you that cooldown reduction, very powerful in PvE, helps your rotations. Then we have Balloon Flower pulling all the enemies in and lowering their defense. This is primarily for the Elemental Realm. Then we have Ikoria, which the anti-death isn't a huge thing in PvE, but her active is pretty strong there. Then this is a really good combo right here for Earth, Carnation, and Marigold. Marigold slow doesn't really matter so much in PvE, but the increase of damage to Earth weakness people is powerful when you combo it with Carnation, which does a ton of damage, especially like I said, if you have full Earth Echo, which also does Erode, which that is also increased by Marigold. Down here at the B tier, we have Sakura and Hibiscus. Sakura, the stun doesn't super matter, but the defense down and pierce rate up is very powerful. Then we have Hibiscus, just does okay damage, enough to be in the B tier. Fire, we have Exoria, Diablo, and Rose. Exoria, very, very good in PvE because you're not really worried about dying. You're just worried about pumping more damage, and she's good at that. Diablo and Rose are a little bit worse. The main thing here is even though Rose silences isn't that big of a deal in PvE, the burn damage she puts on them ignores defense and can be good depending on the boss. Then we have Almond Blossom, mainly here due to her high enough damage. Same thing with Viola. And then Daisy has her burn damage that ignores defense. Down here at the C tier, we have Butterfly Orchid and Licorice. They both do pretty good damage, but their main bonus to you doesn't do anything in these game modes. Butterfly Orchid, her making them unable to move and giving you a shield both don't really matter in PvE. Licorice, her stun doesn't matter, but her damage is still sneakily high. Dahlia, same thing, primarily made for PvP. Dandelion, better than D tier because she does do good damage in a single area. Is just annoying because a lot of the wind specific things are built around a ton of things on the board and not a specific location, which is why Balloon Flower is way up here and she's way down here. Lavender doesn't do well in PvE because you don't want to turn something asleep, but it does increase the damage you do to them until they wake up, so it's enough to be in C. Lotus and Hydra, same thing I said before. They do enough damage for C tier. The silence or unable to use skills doesn't work in PvE. The defense up of Hydra could be good depending on your class. If you're something like Berserker or Mech, you can have a bonus from that increased defense, but at that point you're not playing water, you're generally playing something else. Primrose, it's interesting because she is kind of required for the elemental realm, but none of the other PvE content. The elemental realm requires a stun, she brings a stun for Earth. Down here at D tier, Mistletoe, her stun doesn't work in PvE. Rimuru, some bosses he can get rid of some buffs, but mostly not. Down here at Earth, we have Camellia and Eldewise. Camellia, the knockup doesn't matter in PvE. Eldewise does have burn damage that ignores defense, but one of her main selling points is that crit immunity, which you don't have in PvE really, because a lot of PvE you're not really worried about dying, so even if that crit immunity makes the difference between you getting crit or not in PvE, most of the time it doesn't matter, and Candok is Candok. Let me know what you guys think down below. Till next time, guys.